And today we're looking at pharmaceuticals. Pharmadynamics is a generic medicines company. It says it's expecting a good year despite subdued economic growth. It says the South African private pharmaceutical industry is in fact expected to grow by about 40% between last year and 2020. Well, the CEO, Eric Roos, joins us live from Cape Town in our studio there. Good afternoon to you, Eric. Interestingly, South Africa is a farm emerging country. Just explain what that means.
Good afternoon, Francis. Farm emerging, we zoned with the economic zone of emerging markets, and the name farm emerging evolved from the emerging market segments as you will measure other commodities trading in the emerging market.
All right, and you've painted a picture of generic drugs still growing. I don't know if we can say booming, but does that mean we're all popping more pills, or is the market share going up so people are buying less brands and a lot more generic products?
Yeah, Francis, I think it's, I need to answer that question from multiple layers. First of all, yes, there's an increase in generic drug utilization. If I look at a company like Pharmadynamics with a positive double-digit growth year on year for the last 4 or 5 years, that is stimulated by originator brands going off patent, and obviously then the generics that's more affordable coming into the market. As soon as a generic enters, a first-to-market generic as we call it, other generics are registered, and that creates increased competition. The prices will decrease generally, and then there's more access for products to the broader population. That's the first aspect that's happening, and that will continue in the coming years up to 2020. We also see an influx of new products that's expected in the pharmaceutical industry, and that's due to the current regulatory body, the MCC, evolving or transforming to a new organization or body called SAPRA, the South African Health Products Regulatory Agency, and their aim is to increase registration of pharmaceutical products, and generics in our industry will have a massive boost from that process. As SAPRA will be a parastatal, there will be more partnership or interaction with the DOH to ensure more products are readily made available and accessible to the broader population in South Africa. Currently, there's about 2,900 dossiers sitting in the MCC in its current form, and with SAPRA evolving, we should see a rapid increase on registration timelines, which means companies like Pharmadynamics will make more products available to the population in South Africa.
Will this be a safe registration process protecting the South African public? We're not going to see drugs just pushed through and flooding the market?
No, Francis. South Africa is one of the countries that's very stringent in the regulatory approval processes. No product in South Africa is approved without that product being referenced with the FDA and European registration authorities. And it's a very stringent process, both from a scientific and a quality perspective, before a product is registered by the MCC.
Eric, I want to ask you, do you feel as a generics drug provider that you are supported by the South African government? I remember that feud a few years ago. The health minister was lashing out, but mainly at the brands that wanted to hang on to their intellectual property and not go off patent, allow for generics. Donald Trump in America saying a similar thing last night. Do you feel that the industry is generally supported here?
Francis, I think the statement made by Donald Trump and his cabinet, when we analyze it, he also wants to increase registration timelines with the current FDA authority doing the registrations in the US. If that happens, we can learn from that perspective with SAPRA evolving from the MCC, so that can be a positive. And I must say, there's been a very positive collaboration and interaction over the last 2 years while SAPRA was being formed between industry and the DOH. So yes, it's a partnership that will still evolve over time, but there's positive interaction. There's a lot of regulations being imposed on the industry to ensure there's broader access, and better controls within the healthcare system. So as an industry, we're open to negotiate and to continue to strive to achieve beneficial relationships, partnership structures with the DOH to benefit the broader population in this country.
All right, thank you very much for your time. The CEO of Pharma Dynamics, Eric Roos, live from Cape Town. More after this break.
Failure to implement the water restriction is going to make the system not workable. For the domestic use, everyone should not exceed 25 kiloliters per day.
What is the penalty and how much have you raked in thus far as a municipality?
For domestic users, if they exceed 25 kiloliters, then they're going to be charged a penalty on their monthly bill. And so far, already we've collected 1.7 million.
The 200 million rand state-of-the-art school in Magaliesburg had been vandalized by drug addicts. How bad is it?
It's very bad.